Okay, so you got a clothing company. You want to become the next Supreme. So is it possible? Can you use Supreme's template and replicate what they did with your brand, especially in today's market? A lot to discuss. So let's talk about it next here on Making the Brand. What's up, everybody? Rob Norman here from Planet Brooklyn Academy, and this is Making the Brand, the series where I give you a little insight and knowledge on how to start a clothing brand, and if you already have one, how to make it better. As always, please hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything I drop when it drops. So Supreme, it started around back in here in New York City back in 1994-95. What made Supreme so unique is what they did with their products. They did exclusive releases. They used to draw crowds around the block for their stores. And when this happened, it was a much different time. You're talking about pre-internet, when they first opened their stores. You know, people weren't shopping online. People didn't trust online shopping the way they do today. Back then, it was more about actually going to the store, purchasing product. And that was pretty much things up to the early 2000s, up to I say like 2005, 2006. After that, we came more into online shopping. What I've noticed is that pre-pandemic, there were those phenomenons of people, you know, stores having lines around the block. Think about it. Before 2020, Supreme always had lines around the block. Nike always had, not even just Nike, sneaker releases. There were lines around the block, people waiting to get product. Now, post-pandemic, you don't see that as much. When is the last time you've seen Supreme have a line around the block? When is the last time you've actually seen a sneaker release where there's a line around the block? It's all, everybody's shopping online because it's more convenient, and it happened because of the pandemic. I personally have not bought a pair of kicks from a store in at least 15 years. I buy all my kicks online. I know my sizes with the different brands, so I shop that way. I don't go into a physical store to buy it. As for clothes, if I'm in the city and I'm near a store, I'll go in to check out what they have and I may try it on. But for the most part, I know my brands that I stick with and I know it fits me, so I can order it online. Most people have done that. So you have your clothing line and you want to become the next Supreme. Well, as I said at the top of the video, is that possible to do in this climate where everybody's shopping online? Well, I believe you can become the next Supreme using the template of them, but you gotta kind of modify it a little bit. My approach to becoming the next Supreme with your brand is a two-pronged approach. First of all, remember, Supreme had stores, and with their stores, whenever they did their releases, you know, people lined up around the block. The problem is that when you have a store, you have overhead. You gotta pay rent, you gotta pay employees, you gotta pay electricity, you gotta pay all those things. And that eats up in your profit. But if you wanna make a current, today version of Supreme with your brand, what you can do is do pop-ups. Now listen to what I'm saying with pop-ups. Now we all know what pop-ups are, and pop-ups are great. But if you wanna recreate that same energy that Supreme did, what you want to do is you want to do pop-ups in different cities. So if you take your brand and you do a special release, do a special release only in certain cities. So if you want to do a release, say in Miami, you'll let everybody know that this release is only going to be in Miami at a pop-up. Do a pop-up for a day, maybe a weekend. Sell out of your product. Once it's sold out, that's it. Then do your next release, maybe in the next month, you do a new release in a different city. What you want people to do is you want people to travel to go to these releases. If they notice their releases are constantly moving around, people are always going to look for it. Opposed to knowing like, okay, I know Supreme is in New York City, and if I don't live in New York City, I can't get to that release. But what if it pops up in my city? What if there's a chance that your brand pops up in Texas and people love that brand? Oh, I can get this release. People are going to flock to that city to try to get that release. Now imagine if you do releases every month. You're just traveling to different cities. First of all, your overhead is low because you're just doing pop-ups. You don't have to worry about rent. You can get a team. You can go in there with a small amount of product, sell out, throw an event, and be gone. that is going to cause that hype again for people to want to come out, want to shop. Now, back in the days, there was a company called Nervous Records. And Nervous Records was a European company, but they had a subsidiary company here in the States. And what Nervous did was they threw parties. They were Nervous parties. And everybody wanted to go to a Nervous party. Nervous parties would pop up at different locations. You would hear about them, before it happened, but everybody wanted to be at a Nervous party. And you went to it, and you would leave with stickers, stuff like that, things that you would normally couldn't get just from other stores. You only can get them at Nervous parties. So when you saw somebody with a Nervous product, you knew they went to the event. Same holds true here. You throw these events in different cities. This is product people can only get if they went to that event. So even if you tag it, Atlanta, Atlanta release and it says Atlanta on it, but your next release is in LA and it says LA, people know they went to that event, they got your clothing from it. So again, you're drawing hype. Then you can take it international with this, doing pop-ups out of the country. So now you're really building your brand and you're moving it around, but without having the headache of having a physical store. Now, I said this was a two-pronged attack. So the second approach to this is that you do online. But what you're going to do online is that when you do your pop-ups, whatever clothing you sell in your pop-ups, what other colorways you do, you will release the same art in a different colorway online. But you're only going to limit it to a certain colorway. So let's say if you're doing navy and red at your pop-ups, you're only going to sell it in black and white online, and you're going to limit the amount available online. You do not want the same amount online as you have at your pop-ups, because you want to make this even more limited. So if people miss the event, they can get it online, but there's only a window. And what you can do is you can put it online at a certain time. So you can say the online window opens from 12 midnight to 2 a.m. Weird times that people won't normally be online to look for it, but those in the know will jump on and get it. So again, it is this where's Waldo kind of thing people are looking for. It makes people get engaged with your brand because now they want to know how can they find out where the pop-ups are. They want to know when the online is going to go on sale. And if you watch my last video, when I talk about how to use social media, this is where this comes into play with doing your brand like this. So maybe you're using your X/Twitter to post where the pop-ups are going to be. Maybe it's on your Instagram that you're showing the actual events, and then maybe it's on Facebook for all places. Maybe you're showing on Facebook what time the online sales are going to happen, the releases for those things. So again, you've got people jumping around your social media looking for where these things are happening. You got people traveling to different cities when this happens. So again, it's getting people to engage with your brand. And basically you become the second coming of Supreme. This is a more updated version of Supreme, because again, what they were doing was just in their stores, people lining up, but people outside of the cities couldn't get this. So now if you're moving around the country, people are following you. People want to know where you're going to be at. This could become a huge event. You can eventually partner with other companies when you pop up in their cities. Maybe it's an event. Maybe it's, it could be anything. It could be a tour. Someone's doing a tour and you partner with them and your pop-up happens there. There's so many possibilities with this. But again, this is the way I see if you want to become the next Supreme, this is how you do it. Because the traditional way of just saying, hey, we're dropping this line and people waiting around the corner for it is not going to happen anymore. We're kind of past those times. There's so many companies out online producing clothing now. It's so hard. Back in the days, it was easier. But what makes brands like Supreme, ALD, Kith, Fear of God so unique is their approach to how they sell their product and how they present it and give it to the public and make you feel a part of it. And that's the only way you're going to stand out amongst all these other thousands of brands online. So doing something like this, I think will give you that, put you in that space of being the next Supreme. All right, I hope that video helped you guys. As always, I appreciate you guys following me and taking my advice, and I appreciate all your comments. I truly appreciate the comments, and I will continue to answer those. As always, if you haven't already gotten, pick up my new book. It's now available online. I'll leave the link in the description below for this. Again, it gives you all the information you need to know about how to lay out a proper brand. Everything that I'm talking about here and on my previous videos is pretty much in this book, and it's our guide to creating a perfect brand. All right, so on that note, I will catch you guys on the next video. So till then, I'll catch you later. Peace.